The shorter layers you do.
Well, that's the last time I try to give blood, right? I go in, stupid questions. What type is it? Where'd you get it? Why is it in a bucket? Asinine.
You gave blood?
Welcome back, guys, to another fun edition of Corvette News with your host, VetOnVettes. It's been a couple weeks, I feel like, since I've done a proper Corvette news update, so quite a few things going on in the world of Corvettes. A couple of quick announcements real quick about the channel. As you see, I've featured my sister a couple times. She likes doing it, so I might keep her as a permanent fixture on the channel because she'll be out here sooner than later, and she likes doing this kind of stuff, so we'll see. The Explorer giveaway is still active. Simply be a subscriber, a common Explorer between now and Labor Day weekend when I give it away, and you're entered to win a Ford Explorer. And as far as upcoming videos for this guy this week, I will be doing pulley, tensioner, belt replacement, and that'll be a fun tutorial, so look out for that video coming this week. Alright, so I got 6 fun, interesting Corvette news stories from all around the globe. These are predominantly C8 heavy this week, but there is one C5 tidbit at the end. Chevy has been seen benchmarking the new C8 Corvette Z06 or ZR1. No one really knows for sure which, all that camouflage, you know. But no, they've been benchmarking it with a Ferrari 458 and a Porsche 911 GT2 RS, both very stout cars. I mean, the base C8 is already a freaking monster. If they're using those two cars as the benchmark, I'm assuming they want to beat those in both real-world driving and track applications. The Z06 is going to be all business all the time. So I'm really excited to see this damn thing finally get unveiled. It should be sooner than later this summer. And it's not uncommon for car makers to do this. I know when they were benchmarking the base C8, or Stingray, they were using a lot of Porsche and I think 488s at the time. And even the C7 before that came out, they were using a lot of Porsches as well to benchmark it to make sure it's ready for competitors, etc, etc. But it's pretty cool to see Corvette in that same world as those supercars, you know what I mean? Alright, this next story is kind of speculation from stuff I've seen on the internet and kind of put together from other news sources, if you will, but it looks like the C5Z is finally headed to production. Someone posted in a forum that knew a guy that worked with a guy that his brother's sister's kid, dog walker, knew a guy at the plant in Kentucky, Bowling Green, that they have started production of the Z06, or at least test productions to make sure everything is going smoothly. So that pretty much equates to the Z06 coming in the pipeline very soon. What people are saying, it's roughly 5/8 wider on both sides, so not terribly wide compared to the C7 Stingray, to the wide body Grand Sport Z06, etc. But a total of about 1.5 inches together. And it looks like at the latest, GM is probably going to unveil the Z06 no later than July, which is just 2 months away. So I'm really looking forward to that. Of course, I'll have all kind of news when that thing starts dropping on the Z06, all that stuff. And of course, if you've been living under a rock the last 1.5 years, the Z06 was delayed by an entire production year because of COVIDs. But hopefully everything's ramped up good to go as things are kind of on the mend, if you will. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this Z06 finally come to fruition. It's coming. We all know it's coming. It's just a matter of time. In other C8 Corvette news, it's all but been announced from GM that the C8 Z06 is going to get a flat plane crank. And if you don't know what a flat plane crank is, I did a video on that specifically a couple months ago to explain exactly what it does and why it's different than a cross plane or traditional pushrod. However, it looks like it's going to be the most powerful naturally aspirated motor ever produced. Not boosted, but you know, naturally aspirated, meaning it doesn't use a supercharger, procharger, turbocharger, etc. The numbers are still out. I've seen things ranging from 544 to 650 range. No one knows for sure, but a lot of publications are already saying this thing is going to be the most powerful naturally aspirated flat plane crank. It's going to be a freaking monster. It's using a lot of the same technology as the Cadillac Blackwing motor, which if you're not familiar, it's a 4.2 liter flat plane crank. And that motor is all business all the time. That thing's got around 550 horsepower. So if this thing has any more displacement over that, it's going to be a pretty stout motor. And I'm really excited to hear this thing and just see the performance numbers on this thing. It's so exciting. You know, I was blown away by the Stingray C8 numbers. I can only imagine with something more powerful. And you know, you get in the ZR1 next year, it's gonna have front wheel drive as well. It's gonna be stupid. It's gonna be unusable almost, you know what I mean? But you know, this is our last shot at probably a gas powered Corvette. So let's just go for it, you know what I mean? Alright, this next story is kind of depressing for our overseas counterparts. It looks like most of Europe will be receiving the C8 right-hand drive. However, because they have such tough emissions laws, they're going to lose about 30 brake horsepower getting it. And it's going to be down to about 460, give or take. And again, this all has to do with the European Union's very tight emission standards. And it will make the Corvette roughly a half a second slower to 60, and it'll take about 3.5 seconds in the old continent. So yeah, it's kind of discouraging. Yes, you are going to get a Corvette. Yes, you're going to pay more for it. And yes, you're going to have less power. But nonetheless, you'll finally have a right-hand drive Corvette. And you know, just like here, if you live in like California here, all the stupid emissions laws, you can quickly uncork it to make it just as fast as you need. I'm sure it's some stupid catalytic converter or air intake restriction, which can quickly be remedied, I'm sure, so don't stress it. But yeah, out of the box from a dealer out there, it's going to be a little slower. C8 Corvette colors. As you know, they got rid of the Zeus Bronze, which I like that color, but I can see it's not very popular, so I understand why they get rid of it. However, for 2022, they got 3 new colors coming out, and I'll try to have pictures here as well to match what I'm talking about. The most eye-catching is the Amplify Orange here, which is very similar to the Sebring Orange from my, what, 16 or 17? I'll wait till now. I like it, it looks cool. I'd have to see it next to each other to see an actual difference. This is gonna run you roughly $1,000 extra. So it is a premium paint, similar to what they're already doing right now with some of the colors on the C8 Corvette, so no surprise there. Next up is Caffeine. Yes, that's the color of it. It's very similar to the Zeus Bronze. I don't know if I like it. I like the Zeus Bronze better, I think. I've seen the Zeus Bronze in person. I've not seen the coffee in person. Well, no one has outside of Bowling Green, but I'm excited to see how this looks in person as well. Maybe in certain lights it'll look a lot better, it'll pop. I don't know, it doesn't really excite me. And it's called Caffeine, it's kind of weird. And last up is the Hypersonic Gray, which is very reminiscent to like the Lambo Gray, the Nardo Gray. I'm actually surprised Corvette team hasn't had a gray like this in its lineup. It almost looks like a primer that's been glossed over. I like it, it's not bad. I'm excited to see how this looks in person, but only time will tell. I'm not a huge fan of the Nardo Gray, I'd say the C5, the lines are too soft, but something a little more aggressive, that Nardo flat gloss, if you will, looks really sharp. So it's a huge step in the supercar direction for the C8 Corvette, in my opinion. And Rapid Blue is not going anywhere because it's an awesome color, and they'll probably use this color for the entire gestation period of the C8 Corvette. I don't blame them. It's so eye-catching. It's an amazing color in any car, even on Fords. Lastly is some crazy market value news on Corvettes, specifically the C5Z. I came across this thing on Facebook a few days ago. It's an auction report. I'll put it here. These things are, this is sale price. This is not what they started at or what they were hoping to get. This is what they sold for. C5Z's lower mileage ones are going in the 30s right now, which is crazy. There's a couple on here, which I think the bottom one's salvage and one is in really bad condition, but even those went for like 8 and 15 respectively. So it's crazy that now my C5Z is heavily modified, both aesthetically, engine a little bit, and electrical. Done a lot of work to it. But it's crazy to know that I could get a lot more than what I paid for it just 1 year ago, and people have already offered me offers well above what I paid for it just last April, which is pretty nuts. So this might be my retirement plan. Probably not. But yeah, Corvette prices are crazy right now. If you own one, it's a good time to own one. If you're trying to get into a Corvette, probably not the best time. And I keep predicting that this will go away, and I'm just wrong like an idiot. I know a lot of this has to do with the economy and COVID, etc. But how long is it gonna last? I don't know. It's crazy how much this Corvette bubble is growing. It's nuts. You think these things are a super rare exotic, the way the prices keep creeping up. But I will say this, the C5Z, in my opinion, has always been undervalued. The C5 Corvette itself, the base model, whatever, but I think they're pretty on par. But the C5Z I always thought was really cheap for what it was. But I feel like it's getting back to where it should be. I mean, it's a 400 horsepower car that weighs nothing, and it's super reliable. So I understand the price. And to me, I can just look at this car all day. Something about the FRC C5, it's a gorgeous car. I love it. It's fun to look at, you know. Well, that's all I got for today, gang. And for those of you that follow me, and I did the push button start a couple weeks ago, still working flawlessly, no issues. I will do an update on that in a couple of months, make sure everything's still copacetic. Well, that's all I have for today, gang. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you guys one day this week for some belt pulley tensioner content. So stay tuned for that. Mark out.